much care, then ran the second I was there. If you wanted me gone, you shouldn't have shaped the light like that. If you meant to forget, why did the circle pull me back? You can call it breach, you can call it war, but I crossed that line because I wanted more. You called it safe, you called it done, but left the glyphs half overrun. Said it's better when it ends like this, but left your name inside the mist. You say the magic means it's gone, but it still sings in every song. So tell me why the veil still stings when all you did was cut the strings. There's no silence when it hums like you, no severance that feels this true. I crossed it knowing I might fall, but I needed to know if you felt it at all. Why did the pull still blaze that bright? If it was just a ward, why did it fight like it knew I was right? You can call me fool, you can call it through, but I crossed that line because I believed in you. Fractured stone, across the wards, across the known. Every pulse was sharp and clean, a beacon I swore had once meant me. Kept your rune on my left side string, tapped 3 times like it meant something, but all I got was empty hum, a ghosted spell, a setting sun. I thought the thread would split in 2, but I've been carrying all of you. You marked the way, stopped. I waited for a voice to rise, but all I got was glowing lies. Said don't give up, said feel the spark, but I mistook reflex for heart. You always did light up too fast. I should have known you wouldn't let. The signal was strong, but it wasn't shared. The path lit up, but you weren't there. The signs were clear, but not for me. This was your escape, and I was debris. You marked the way, but didn't wait. I chased you past the anchor gate. I lit the flame, I spoke the key, but you were never calling me. I built the bridge from pain and breath. You crossed it quiet, left me deaf. I cast for 2, you ran alone. This was a light line for 1. Your echo isn't proof, it's just what empty magic does. The colors leaving your old mark, red to rust then barely dark. It used to burn when I got close. Now it just flickers like a ghost. The runes are still in perfect shape, but none of them remember fate. I try to trace what we both knew, but every line just leads to you. They said, if the glyph begins to fade, don't touch it, don't trace it, let it degrade. But I kept reaching anyway. Yeah, I kept reaching anyway. This is the sigil fate protocol, where I forget to call you mine. The ink turns static, the meaning cracks, and I pretend that's just a sign. The magic thins but doesn't die, it just stops meaning what it meant. Your shield marked, but it's not intense. You said it's better when it dulls, less to miss, less to pull, but dull doesn't mean it's gone. Just quiet, cracked, and holding on. They warned me not to reinforce, but I redrew it worse. Of course, the sparks came once, then split in two. I got the silence, who got you? No burst, no bang, no final break, just shimmer bleeding into ache. You can't undo what you outgrew, but gods, I wanted to fade with you. This is the sigil fate protocol, where the light still hums but soft, where I say your name like a habit, not a hope I ever lost. The color drains, but I still wait for something sharp or new or real. But it's just lines that barely feel. It doesn't hurt the way it did, but I miss the burn. I felt the glyph begin to slip, ink still wet on your bitten lip. You held the chant in fractured breath, but said nothing as it broke to death. You didn't flinch, you didn't warn, just watch the sigil lose its form. In me I stayed inside the bind, pretending not to read the sign. You traced escape, I traced resolve. The spell cracked clean, but not evolved. Dispel me slow, don't make it sharp. Let every fray still sound like art. Undo the vows, one tone at a time. Pretend it's care, not just decline. You didn't cut, you didn't scream, you just unspelled what we believe. So if you go, at least make it so. You dispel me slow. We cast with hands, with heat, with breath. I thought that meant you'd hold till death, but every line I tried to hold unwound beneath your silent cold. I caught the change inside your tone, the way you hummed but left me alone. I begged the bond to hold its thread, but magic dies when left unread. I still dispel me slow. Don't let it snap. Let all the weight unfold and crack. I'd rather hurt than not be seen. So stretch the silence till it screams. You didn't fight, you just let go. So if it ends, then aimed it slow. Don't finish fast. Don't leave me hollow. Just dispel me slow. You let the charm unthread and me with it. We dug with words you never said. Laid silence down where you had bled. Each breath a pallbearer's refrain, and still your name remains. We dressed it up in careful tones, built a eulogy from broken bones. You never asked for this farewell, but here we are, and it still smells like spell. I chant the grief you left unspoke, a verse for every vow you broke. This is the grave chant, halftime and loud, a funeral song to shake the clouds. You left without the final line, so I'm still writing, still out of time. Stone doesn't echo like a voice, but silence makes a brutal choice. So here's the dirt you never earned, spelled in chords until it burns. The flowers wilted by the gate, same as our last unspoken fate. I tried to speak it clean and kind, but elegies don't ease the bind. Your charm cracked under too much weight, still humming songs you used to fake. I sing them now distorted wrong. It's not your song, but it's still strong. I wear the sigil that we swore, half erased but never more. They said to let the chant be still, but grief rewrites what silence kills. This is the grave chant, halftime and fierce, a chorus made to pierce the years. You vanished like a last regret, but the echo's not done with us yet. Stone remembers, strings retell, the grave can't keep what we still yell. So take this chorus where you fell, and know we screamed it far too well. You're gone, but I'm still tuned to what you left undone. I traced the edge, traced my hand, said the words, you made no sand. We drew the bond in open light, but you never meant to bind it right. You marked the salt across the line, told me trust was just a sign. The sigil scorched when cast in lie, and I'm still marked while you're bone dry. You You wore the circle like a charm, I wore it like a second arm. This circle was never mutual, just me, you, and a line made beautiful. I thought we cast with equal weight, but you just traced a way to escape. You smiled inside the arcane bind while I let you etch across my spine. No anchor, no truth, just pull. This circle was never mutual. You broke the ward like breaking glass, said that spell, yeah, couldn't last. But I still feel the humming edge. You just backed off from the ledge. You said I never asked for this, then why'd you sign it with a kiss? You crossed the sigil, broke the pact, and now you ask for your heart back. I stitched the seal, you liked the shine, but never meant for it to bind. I gave my blood, you gave a pen, and then you claimed we were just friends. This circle was never mutual, it was scripted, staged, illusional. I thought we both had cut and sworn, but you just traced to keep me warm. So go ahead, redraw the line, call it youth or bad design, but I'm still burning sigil full. This circle was never mutual. I'm still inside. We tuned the door with matching chords. I held the low, you strummed the sore. The spell was tight, the lines were clean, so why did it burn when you touched the beam? I left a breath inside the hinge. You lit the latch with every wince. It wasn't meant to open wide, but you jammed it through. across the gap, a voice I knew but couldn't map. It didn't sound like just regret, it carried things we never said. You crossed the ward, I stayed behind, but your name still shows on every sign. And every tone the air distorts still hums like something held in chords. You're gone in form but not in sound. My heart still plays what's yours unwound. We're hearts in echo form, two tones still blurred. You broke the line but not the words. I fade from you in present tense, but ring again across the fence. If love was cast in perfect pitch, then this is what remains, the glitch. A loop, a call, a pulse, a trace. I echo in your quiet place. Your name returns in walls and glass, in hollow frames I walk right past. I said goodbye, I meant it deep, but echoes bloom where silence sleeps. This isn't want, it isn't need, it's resonance that won't recede. We're hearts in echo form, still shaped by sound, still reaching out when no one's around. The spell is gone, but something stayed, a tone too tuned to be unmade. No finish line, no exit sign, just one last chord that mirrors mine. So if you feel that subtle storm, you know I'm still in echo form. I faded, but I left a tone. Cast that warped in pain. The circle held until your voice shifted pitch and made its choice. The sigils flashed, the lines went wide. You smiled like you hadn't lied, but I felt the pull beneath my chest. You were the storm in a love spell dress. You changed one word, that's all it takes. Now every beat, the skyline breaks. Sharp and shattered me. I tried to pull the storm back in, but it was cast beneath your skin. No shelter now, no final form, just verses buried in the storm. I was the lock, you brought the spark. Now all I see is spell marked dark. Loud will cut at ascension point. No anchor left, no soul to joint. I sang like it still meant a chance, but you had stepped out of the dance. So if you felt a tremor call, that was me, that's all. I still spoke. I still spoke. I still. The sigil, stitched it tight. I held the tone through every fight. You left the circle incomplete. I made it whole with dragging feet. I ran the song across the breach. My throat was raw, still tried to reach. I knew you might not hear a thing, but I still burned to bring the ring. The path collapsed behind my step, but forward held what I had left. Relay fall, I bore it all. Across the veil I took the call. You dropped the chord, you broke the tune, but I kept singing through the ruin. This was my vow, my final crawl, to get the echo past the wall. And if it's scorched, then so it goes. I burned for you, you'll never know. I knew the cost the second time, but cast again with shattered rhyme. Your name was stitched in every line, but I don't think you'd call it mine. You didn't ask me to deliver, but I still took every step. You didn't ask me to believe, but I still carried what was left.